Just when you thought the air in the Dales couldn't get any thicker, Emmerdale has turned the tension up to 11, leaving us all holding our breath. For weeks the village has been a hunting ground, with the police closing in and every shadow looking like a threat. At the center of it all is John Sugden, a man whose list of crimes has grown so long it's a wonder he can still walk under the weight of them. He's a wanted man, a cornered animal, and as we saw in tonight's heart-stopping episode, he's ready to do absolutely anything to escape the cage that's closing in. But his latest scheme isn't just about outsmarting the law, it's a desperate last-ditch gamble forged in the fires of betrayal and heartbreak. The question on everyone's lips is no longer if he'll be caught, but will he mastermind the ultimate escape before justice can claim him? The episode opened with a scene so chilling it could freeze the blood in your veins. There was John, a ghostly intruder in the warm, familiar sanctuary of Victoria's cottage. The home that should have represented family and safety was now the staging ground for his darkest act yet. In his hand he clutched a syringe, its needle glinting menacingly in the dim light. His eyes, cold and devoid of anything but pure venom, were fixed on a photograph of his nemesis, Robert Sugden. The message was terrifyingly clear. This was no idle threat. He was lying in wait, a predator ready to strike, fully intending to end his feud with Robert with a silent, deadly injection. We watched, hearts in our throats, as the minutes ticked by. Every footstep outside the cottage felt like a drumbeat counting down to a tragedy. But fate, as it so often does in Emmerdale, had a cruel twist in store. The door opened, but it wasn't Robert who walked into the trap. It was Victoria, his own sister, with her sweet son Harry. John melted back into the shadows as Victoria and Robert settled on a bench outside, their conversation drifting through the open window, carried on the gentle evening breeze. And it was the words he overheard that stopped him dead in his tracks. This wasn't the sound of a sister worried for her fugitive brother, it was the sound of a heart breaking. Victoria, her voice heavy with sorrow and confusion, confessed her deepest doubts to Robert. She questioned everything she ever thought she knew about John, wondering aloud if his love for her was ever real, if he ever truly valued her as his sister. For the man hiding just feet away, listening to every syllable, those words were more potent than any poison he could have concocted. In that moment we saw a crack in the monster's facade. The vengeful killer retreated, and in his place was a man utterly shattered by the realization that he had lost the one person he thought would always be in his corner. The syringe suddenly seemed pointless. What was the use in destroying his enemy if he had already destroyed the only family he had left? With a stealth born of shame and sorrow, John slipped out of the cottage, his murderous plan abandoned, his world completely upended. But a man like John doesn't stay down for long. Heartbreak quickly curdled back into his default setting, ruthless self-preservation. With his bridge to Victoria burned, he turned to his only remaining option, his final dirty ace in the hole, Caleb Dingle. He cornered Caleb at the depot, the air thick with unspoken threats. This was a different John. The wounded brother was gone, replaced by a cold, calculating blackmailer. He didn't waste time with pleasantries. He laid his cards on the table, reminding Caleb of the dark secret they shared, the murder of Anthony Fox. John's leverage was absolute. He had helped Caleb's wife, Ruby, dispose of the body, and he knew exactly where the evidence was buried. "Help me escape," he demanded, "or I'll lead the police right to him." Caleb, ever the fighter, tried to push back, attempting to call John's bluff. He shot back that with John's reputation, pinning another murder on him would be child's play. It was a good try, but John was ready for it. He delivered his checkmate move with a chilling smirk. Ruby's DNA, he reminded a suddenly pale Caleb, was all over Anthony's body. The threat was no longer just about Caleb. It was about the woman he loved. "Do you want your wife to go to prison?" John hissed, the words hanging in the air like a death sentence. The demand was simple and non-negotiable. Get him on the next truck heading to Europe. The weight of the world seemed to crash down on Caleb's shoulders. We saw the conflict warring in his eyes. The choice was impossible. Let a dangerous criminal walk free or watch his beloved wife pay the price for her sins. Later, as agreed, Caleb sat waiting in his car, the very picture of a man trapped. When John slipped into the passenger seat, the deal was sealed. Caleb would be driving a truck to Rotterdam the next morning. John could hide inside. As John walked away with a simple, "See you tomorrow," leaving Caleb alone with his conscience, the real drama began. Can we really believe it's that simple? Is Caleb, a man who has always walked a fine line between right and wrong, truly going to let John vanish into the night without a fight? It feels too easy, too clean for a man who has caused so much pain. Perhaps this is all an elaborate ruse, a trap set by Caleb to finally deliver John to the authorities while protecting Ruby. Or has John's threat truly backed him into a corner from which there is no escape? We're left on a knife's edge, teetering between an unjust escape and a dramatic final showdown. This isn't just an exit plan, it's a ticking time bomb set to explode, and the fallout could change the Dales forever. Will John Sugden get his fresh start, leaving a trail of destruction and unanswered questions in his wake? Or will his desperate gamble be the final mistake that brings his reign of terror to a long overdue end? One thing is for certain, tomorrow can't come soon enough.